Alright, so I thought I'd do a quick video on how I've experimented doing homebrew in my van. It is something that I enjoyed doing when I was in a house, and I thought I'd never be able to do it in a van, but turns out there is a way that we can do homebrew in a van, and that's what I'm going to show in this video. Alright, so in here you can see I've got some blackcurrant apple juice, Coles brand, that you can buy pretty easily, and Woolworths probably has one similar. For this fruit juice, here's some that have actually been fermenting. So I'm going to do up a brand new batch today, but you can't have any preservatives or stabilizers or anything like that, because otherwise it'll kill off the yeast. So this one here, if we look at the ingredients, you can see that it's 99.7% juices. It has some citric acid, which is okay. It has some natural flavor, which is okay. They've got some vitamin C, which is okay. But there's no preservatives or stabilizers or anything like that that's going to kill off the yeast. So that's the most important one. So the Coles brand mango and pineapple and mango, pineapple, things like that have stabilizers in it, which my understanding is will kill the yeast. So the way that we do it in the home brew without the airlock is you tighten the lid and then give it a half turn to loosen it, so that when you squeeze the bottle, maybe this one, I don't know if you can hear it, but the air escapes. Now if we look at the bottle, you can see there's some bubbles at the top, and can we see you might be able to see some bubbles raising there. If I can get it right. I don't think the phone wants to focus properly, but there are little bubbles, so that is brewing. But you can see the apple and currant color there compared to this one is a lot different from brewing, and that looks more like orange juice than it does apple juice. So apple juice is more a clearer, lighter color, so it's gone darker through fermentation there. Now to brew this up, I just used some baker's yeast. This was the smallest pack. I got this kind here because doing this one handed, it has these small little packets, so when you put them in the fridge, if the box deteriorates, then you've got the yeast in there. Because I have had baker's yeast in the past where it comes in like a cardboard tube and it's no good. Like you can see this one here has been opened, so this is what an unopened pack looks like. And you can see that I just used a vacuum food sealer without doing the vacuum setting, just a seal setting to reseal this. So I'm going to use this again for today's batch. And then obviously I'm just using white sugar. I have seen on the internet some people reckon brown sugar tastes better, but I didn't have any brown sugar. And then obviously I have some measuring spoons. And I have some hydrometers and different things in here because I'm going to do up a white water, like a neutral spirits wash for distilling. But that'll be a different video. But for getting started, you don't basically need no equipment. You just need the juice bottle and some measuring spoons, and that's it. And obviously the yeast and the sugar. So I thought I'd do a hydrometer reading before I do anything. And you can't really see it on the phone, but it's about 38. It's bouncing there at the moment, but when it was steady before, it was at 38, which according to this make roughly 5% alcohol according to the estimate on the hydrometer. But you do want to add some headspace to the bottles, because obviously I'm going to pitch some yeast with water to get it started, activate it, or pitch it, whatever term you want to use, so that might fill it up to there. And I basically want to have about that much headspace when I finish, because that seems to work rather well so far. And obviously I've emptied some apple juice into my cup and into there, and I'll empty a little bit more out of here so both of these are equal, and then I'll continue the video. Alright, So I have a makeshift phone holder for the recording. I'm going to use half a tablespoon because it's just easier to pour into these bottles, and I'm going to use 6 tablespoons, so that'll be 12 of these. And you know what, a funnel might be easier. Where's my Here it is. So can you see the funnel? You can. Alright, so we continue. Oh, I might even edit that out. So I got 1 in there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now that should be roughly half a cup of sugar. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right, so that should be roughly half a cup of sugar. And basically, if I put the lid back on, you'll see at the bottom here, if I can, you can see the sugar, right? So if I shake it up, this will do 2 things. It will aerate the and now you can see the sugar has been dissolved. And this is a bit awkward because I'm doing it from a mounted phone holder, like a makeshift. Same with this bottle, you can see sugar at the bottom. Let's shake it up. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is, can we see that? Is that in the shot? Yep. And I might use the funnel. And it shouldn't really matter which bottle I use because I put the same amount in both, but I might do a hydrometer reading on both just to be thorough. Alright, so what does the reading say? So 60, is it? Yeah, I'm going to say it's 60, which would be 1.060 because the hydrometer readings are always 4 numbers, but in this it's just got 2 big numbers, which might be 8%, but I've read that this should take it anywhere up to 10%, but the hydrometer reading is probably about 8%. And I might as well do the other bottle as well. Let's put this on just in case there's an accident. All right. So can we still see? Yes. So what's this one reading at? Spitting out of my... And as expected, that's, I'd say 60 as well. So I'll pour that back in. And so now for the yeast. So what I've done is, I don't know if I can see that. Yep, just a pot of water. I might just add a little bit of extra water into this, so it's not as hot. It wasn't that hot to begin with. I'll give it a bit of a stir. Probably stirring with fingers is bad, but I don't care, it's my brew. Alright, so then what I'm going to do is get a measuring cup, and I'm going to fill it up with some water. Can you see that? That's in the shot, yep. Alright, my yeast packet. Open that up off camera. And so what I basically want to do now is get some sugar, a generous pinch of sugar into the water. Give that a bit of a stir. And then this is half a teaspoon. Then use it. Half a teaspoon. And into water, and I just get a fork and give it a bit of a stir. What's the next biggest mushroom? No, it probably doesn't matter. So let's do the second lot. Some water. And is that even in the shot? It's not in the shot, is it? Let's just just move these around. So that's in the shot, and that's kind of in the shot. All right, so we get a pinch of sugar. And need to open another packet. So this has done basically 3.5 2-litre bottles. So I'll get another packet. You'll see I've opened it above that line because I plan on resealing it, so I want plenty of space to reseal it with the vacuum sealer, but you don't use the vacuum mode, just the seal mode. And I just spilt half of the yeast out by accident. That's alright. Red yeast is pretty cheap. So again, half a teaspoon. And we stir it. And if I take this out of the phone holder, you see I accidentally spilt that yeast, but that's no big deal. But you'll see that this one is starting to froth up a bit. You can see a couple little bubbles where this one hasn't. So this one is starting to activate, but you leave it for both for about 15 minutes. And then we'll add it to these, but I'll do that later, so I'll take this off camera. Because you don't want to wait. Alright, so if you look at this, you can see that both of these yeasts have frothed up quite a lot on the top there. And we're going to add that into these bottles. So, try and do this one-handed. There we go. So that's one done. Take the lid off. There we go. So there's the second one. What I might do, so that's my double strength vinegar because it's got that, and this is my just plain water. So what I might do is just spray that, put that in there, because this was a smaller cup. This was half a cup, the other one was one whole cup. So what I might do as well is spray that. Just trying to get the liquids of these to be roughly even, and might even alright. So now you can see I did empty a little bit out of some of the bottles to give it a bit of extra headspace, but I will drink that. So I shook up the yeast and the sugar to aerate it. But you can see on the labels I put OG, original gravity 1.060, 19th of March is when I bottled it. Then I have room here for FG, so the final gravity, and then the date that I stopped the brewing, so I know how old it is if I want to age it. But that way, with the original gravity and the final gravity, there's a formula I can't remember off the top of my head that will tell you the alcohol percentage, although I do have an alcohol reader that will tell me as well. But basically all you do is you screw the lids on, and then you just give it just a little bit of a half turn, and you squeeze the bottle and just make sure that air can escape. And then what I'm going to do is these two bottles here I'm going to put into my cupboard. So I'm going to put it down in there. You can see there has been a bit of spillage from my cask there, but I don't really want to clean it up at this point. But I'm going to put one bottle in there. And actually I'll do it the other way around, because these are the older bottles, so I'll put the newer bottles at the back. So I've got those two bottles side by side, they can't go anywhere. And then I'm going to put you here, and put you in here. And you can see that those bottles are nice and snug. They're not going to tip over, because if it tipped over it would make a huge ass mess. But even those two in there alone, I had some other stuff to stop them sliding around before, but I got basically 8 litres of alcohol fermenting there in my van, nice and happy. Alright, so I thought I'd show you resealing this, because I talked about it a few times. So what I want to do is squeeze as much of the air out as I can. Stick this on the... and you just want to click the seal button. Alright, so that's done. And now you can see across the top there, I've got the seal line, and I've resealed this back, and with very minimal air in there. Now, food processors are actually very handy, particularly if you've got a freezer in your dual fridge, dual zone fridge. If you've got a freezer section, you can cook up food and freeze it up and make it last a lot longer. Even if you just put it in the fridge, you can make things last a lot longer. Like if you cut up capsicums or onions or whatever, or you could just reseal food in there for the sake of it. If you want to do it a lot, you can get these freezer bags, these sealer bags, a lot cheaper on eBay. And if you buy it from somewhere that has click and collect, you can just go to an area close to you to pick it up, so you don't need to have a postal address to pick things up. Very handy. So anyway, that's the resealing the yeast that I talked about a few times throughout the video. Alright, so there you have it. That's me being able to brew alcohol in my van. I'm quite happy about that. As you saw, I had 8 litres going at once. So 2 litres gives you 375 mils, so like in Australia, a standard can size. Should give you, it was 5.3333 something or other cans. So with the headspace, and you know, you don't drain the whole bottle, you let the yeast sediment stay at the bottom. I'm assuming I should be able to get pretty much 5 cans. I'm saying 5 cans per 2 litre bottle. So that would be 20 cans. out of what I'm brewing there, which is pretty good. Like if you look at the price of alcohol in Australia for apple cider, which is basically what I'm doing, is a cider, except I'm not going to carbonate it. So you could say it's a wine, but wines are usually higher alcohol strength than that. But it's alcoholic, either cider or wine, depending on how you think about it. 20 cans worth, happily brewing in my van. If it works out, I might look at, and I've seen other people do it and they said it seems to taste nice, but you can get brewer's wine, wine yeast or distiller's yeast that has a higher alcohol percentage, so you could put more sugar in and get higher alcohol percentage. But I think the 8 to 10%, maybe a little bit higher depending on temperature ranges and stuff, should be more than enough for my purposes. Yeah, I'm doing that in a van. So if you live in an apartment building, you don't have much space, you don't want to spend money on equipment. I didn't really spend any money on equipment. Everything that I used, I already had in the car, and it's in the average pantry. So all you really need is the apple juice, which was $2.70 a bottle at Coles at the time of recording, which is pretty good. It costs you more than that for a 375ml can of cider or beer at the bottle shop in Australia at the moment. So a little bit of sugar, a little bit of bread yeast. The bread yeast for the whole pack costs $3, and a thing of sugar costs what, $1.80 or something for a 1 kilo bag of sugar, and I didn't use the whole bag anywhere near it, so that could be used for multiple brews. So it's really cheap way to make some alcohol either at home or in your van. You just have to make sure that you put it in a place where it's not going to topple over in your van. Alright, so if you like the video, do all the likes and subscribes and all that kind of stuff, and yeah, I'll see you in another video maybe.